Welcome to Real Cases, where I go over a real life client case and I talk about what I recommend that client do in order to get better. I've worked with over 1,000 clients in public health and quite a few women with similar symptoms to this. I'm going to call her Jenna. I changed the name to protect anonymity and to really just present this information out there. So, first of all, Jenna, she's 35. She's dealing with really bad vaginal burning, like really intense, quite often. It does fluctuate though in intensity. Urinary frequency, that is more prevalent in certain situations. And she's a mother of three. She also works full time. She's taking care of her aging mother, who also has cancer right now. So she's having to help out with the visits regarding that. She feels very responsible for everyone, doesn't really have time for fun or for self-care. That seems irresponsible. And there are also financial pressures due to rising costs and situations that are going on. She doesn't feel very close to her husband emotionally right now. And she's afraid of this being very serious. Like maybe this is cancer. She doesn't know what it is. And why has this been going on? It's been going on for 2 years. So ultimately what I'm going to be doing here is having a conversation with Jenna. I do this a lot with one-on-one calls or working with clients that are in group programs or even in-person retreats, things like that. And oftentimes they're not recorded and people don't always want to talk about these situations in YouTube videos. So I'm doing it here kind of for them in order to give you some guidance if this is something you're dealing with. So first of all, Jenna, thank you so much for coming to me. I'm glad that you're able to find me. And I'm so sorry you've been dealing with this for 2 years. That's very difficult. I had pelvic floor symptoms that were very severe also for 5 years. I know what that's like. I also have 3 kids myself and know how busy life can get. The thing is, you have done a lot of things that I would recommend already. Going to your primary care physician, you've been to multiple gynecologists, you've had a lot of different testing done in various parts of your body, a lot of panels and workups that are good just to rule out a very serious structural injury, a very serious pathological disease. Yeah, you mentioned also that you've had multiple rounds of antibiotics that haven't worked yet. You've even tried different creams. You've been to a dermatologist thinking it's a skin issue. You've had body work done directly on the bladder, the lower abdomen, that area of your body. You've tried herbs and supplements, specific exercises to help with your bladder control. You've even done a bathroom diary. You went to physical therapy some. And yeah, it sounds like some things help, but then they didn't really make it go away, etc. That's totally normal. I've actually seen this happen a lot of times before. The good news is nothing structural has been found. And it's important to realize that the brain actually has the ability to create all sensations that are experienced in the body. So just let me give you an example from a study. Maybe you've even heard of this before, but the study was done where rubber arms were placed next to people and, they actually blocked off their real arm. So the person could only perceive that rubber arm and it looked very much like it was coming out of their body, but they're like, oh yeah, that's a rubber arm. That's not actually mine. They did some testing, right? They would prick it and the person felt actual pain. They would bring a candle up close to it and they felt like they were being burnt. They tried doing various things like this. And what's happening? Like, whoa, is that faulty? Why is my brain, why am I feeling pain? Why am I feeling that heat? That doesn't make any sense. It's predictive coding. Your brain is ultimately creating your reality and interpreting things neurologically and then creating sensations based upon that input. So there's nothing wrong with you. Even when it comes to something like vaginal burning, even though there's not a specific tangible physical structural cause, the symptoms are very real. You're not making them up in your head. They're actually in your brain. They're in your nervous system. They're being activated. So they're just the same. It's just that it's neuroplastic. So that's good news. Neuro meaning brain is creating it. Plastic meaning that it's actually changeable. And that there's a deeper reason why it's there. There are some root causes to listen to, or your brain ultimately is on high alert and it's reactivating these neuroplastic symptoms over and over and over again, such as having to pee a lot, having an upregulated nervous system. The body will often void the bladder more often and do the opposite with the bowels, oftentimes create more constipation, slow down digestion. It's conserving resources and allowing you to focus in on threats, real or imagined. Now you might be like, I'm not in a war zone. What do you mean? But I mean, 3 kids, working a full-time job, taking care of your mother, feeling emotional challenges with your husband. There's so much going on that seems threatening and that's putting pressure on your nervous system, and it has the ability to create these things. So just realizing that this can and does happen. I have a lot of clients who have urinary burning, for example, too. They might not have vaginal burning or more of an exterior type of burning or interior, but just when they're peeing. There are so many different types of symptoms. Some people also have pelvic pain. Some people also have penile pain, other parts of their body, chronic headaches, digestive issues. So realizing that your brain can create that. And then it's like, okay, but what about these threats? What about these stressors? What do I do about it? I mean, I have all these responsibilities. I can't just let them fall and hit the ground so that I can heal. That would be selfish of me. And it would also, not seem possible right now. So I understand where you're coming from. And I'll give you some guidance in a moment that could be useful for you. But knowing that there's nothing wrong with you, like, wow, this is neuroplastic. That's a huge relief, right? That's a huge relief because it's the not knowing. The not knowing, like, oh my God, I've got to figure this out. This could be some serious rare genetic disorder or cancer or something that's not found yet. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen to me. That not knowing is so scary. And now that you know this is psychophysiologic, even if you're not 100%, you know that it's possible that it's psychophysiologic. That usually lessens that fear pain cycle or the fear dysfunction cycle, if you want to call it that, a whole lot. The next thing we do is reprocess. And so when you're experiencing that burning sensation, like, are you feeling it right now? You are, right? We don't have to do this right now, but somatic tracking is a tool that you'll use in our Overcome program that we have. It's something that helps people a ton because you start to take away the fear from experiencing the symptoms. They're there, they're still happening, but you're not fighting against it. You're not trying to fix it. You're able to observe it and experience it. And you don't do that to feel better in the moment, but oftentimes as a side effect, it does help. But it's actually moving over the neural pathways because the same neural pathway, this rut has been created. Water follows and finds the lowest path, and it's running down the same path over and over and over again. And so what we're doing is instead of freaking out with the symptoms, you'll be stepping back and letting it be there some, letting it just be there some. And then even bringing some positive affect in, bringing some joy, maybe thinking of something that you love, noticing a positive sensation in your body. You're like, well, actually, my face feels really good, or my hand feels really good right now, or this chair is really comfy, really cozy. And we start to move over that neural circuitry. That's really helpful. And for a lot of people, just knowing there's nothing wrong with them and then taking the fear out of the symptoms, be like, my body is safe. This is just mind-body syndrome. This is just neuroplastic. A lot of people, their symptoms are gone. And that's awesome. And that may be the case for you too. If you need to go a little deeper, that next step, we call it release. And that's looking at personality tendencies, such as like always being people pleaser or responsible for everyone, putting others before you, not really filling up your own cup first. And it could also be being a high achiever and always striving and always trying to keep up with the Joneses or whatever it is for someone. And also emotions of like anger. Like, why do I have to take care of my mom? Why doesn't my sister? Why my husband and I aren't close anymore and I want us to be? And that saddens me. You're just so busy and making it important to take care of everyone and do everything just right. You also deserve that time and care. And ultimately, there can be these background messages of discontentment, discomfort, the emotions that they just need to be heard. They just need to be felt. You just need to stop for like an hour and sit there and do nothing. Can you imagine that? Just sitting down, staring at the wall for an hour? That's crazy, right? You haven't done that in a really long time, maybe never. But what happens is when you just stop, initially, the thoughts will come in like, what do you mean? You should be moving. where you'll see all the crazy patterns pop up. Your symptoms will start blaring at you. But like, wow, it'll be screaming. And you get to this place where you actually stop reacting. Like, actually, I'm safe. I'm just going to be here a bit. And maybe some emotions come through you and you feel angry or you want to cry. You feel sad. You feel like you've lost 2 years of your life. These all just need to be felt. And so whether you work with me or work with someone else, ultimately doing some things, it could look like meditating. It could look like breath work. It could look like psychotherapy. It could look like journaling. You're giving yourself opportunities to lower that reservoir of unresolved emotions or things that aren't being heard. And you're creating space and silence. You do need to create space and silence. You need to tell people, hey, I need to put myself first so that I can put others first. It's not selfish, it's self-full. Because when you're full as the self, when you're whole, you're able to help and give and serve anyway. And so realizing that you deserve that too and having those conversations with your husband or with your kids or whoever can help you out, and just saying things like, hey, because for example, with my kids, they know when I'm meditating, that's really important to me. That's really important. So when the door is closed and meditating, they know only to come in if there's an emergency. Because that's a time in which I can recharge, rejuvenate myself, interrupt all the stuff that's going on in my head. Helps a ton. And my days are busier, right? Whenever kids are with me. So you just find ways. And what'll happen is you also will see some things like, wow, I've been really pushing myself so hard because I think I have to have this house, this life, this job, this promotion. I have to like do it all and be that super mom, be that super woman person. And look, you can do whatever you want with your life, but if you find that it's super imbalanced, there might be a realignment needed, a letting go of some things. And you mentioned, not really doing things that are fun or being that joyful. That's one of the most important things when I'm working with people. Look, every day, yeah, do a mind body practice and eat healthy food. Sure, that's good for you. Get some healthy movement in, but also experience joy. Experience joy. And I know I'm sure you have fun with your kids and you do things that are good, but also like what lights you up the most? Maybe it's something you haven't done in 10 or 15 years. So what's really cool is that knowing there's nothing wrong with you and start to take the fear out of the symptoms. The symptoms, they very well may still be there, but as a reminder, but you'll start retraining the brain and showing that you're fine. You don't need these messages anymore. You're listening and making some changes in your life, caring for yourself, feeling your emotions, noticing what that is for you, and kind of realigning, letting go of some things that aren't really who you are. It's a path that works. It's worked for a lot. That's what I'd recommend for you. And that vaginal burning, now that we've seen there is no structural cause to it, there's no downside to doing this path, by the way. There are no side effects. Many medications or surgeries or kind of crazy last chance options that people go for have a lot of side effects and many times don't work. And sometimes they only work because of the placebo effect. So I'd encourage you to follow this path and let your life, you'll get feedback. You'll have the inner changes happening more, like less fear, less concern, less worry. There's hope. You're walking in a direction where there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's light all around you, actually. And you're doing some things that physically feel good and also calming the mind and the nervous system. Just give yourself that time. So hopefully that was helpful. I guess hope that was helpful for y'all as well. This conversation I had with Jenna, actually there was no person here, but I hope it was helpful. This is a new concept, this real cases concept. And there's so many specific situations, vaginal burning or rectal pain, or this happened after an affair, or this particular thing is going on also my digestive tract or my low back pain. And what I want to do is kind of pick some of the more common situations in a way that I see that oftentimes people don't want to talk about out loud. And I can maybe be the voice for it and also give you my perspective. So in the comments below, let me know if this helps you. If you have your own situation you're going through, I'll do my best, myself or anyone on my team, to give you some guidance if that helps. And I'll see you next time. Take care.